Dear students, today's topic of my lecture is Current Electricity Part 3, in which we cover the topics Kirchhoff's laws, Wheatstone bridge, and meter bridge. So, first of all, you understand the Kirchhoff's laws. After that, we will start other topics. So, Kirchhoff's laws, there are two Kirchhoff's laws. One is Kirchhoff's current law, that generally we say that KCL. Another one is the Kirchhoff's voltage law, that we call KVL. So both these laws you have to understand so that you can be able to solve numericals, concept based problems related to the electrical circuits. So the first one is Kirchhoff's laws, that is called Kirchhoff's current law, KCL. It is also known as the junction rule. According to this law, in an electric circuit, algebraic sum of currents at any junction is zero, or at any junction of electrical circuit, the sum of the currents entering the junction must be equal to the sum of current leaving the junction. That is sigma I equal to 1. So now you understand this one is here. Here this O point is the junction, and the four wires here you can see that in which the currents I1, I2, I3, I4 are flowing. Some of the currents direction toward the junction and some of the currents direction away from the junction. So what we learn from the KCL, in an electric circuit, the algebraic sum of the currents at any junction is 0. So when we take the algebraic sum of all these, that is I1, I2, I3 and I4, and that should be 0. In other words, we can say that the algebraic sum of the currents in electrical circuit entering towards the junction must be equal to the algebraic sum of the currents moving away from the junction. So for calculating the current in electrical circuit, we must know the sign conventions. The first sign convention is the currents flowing towards the junction are taken as positive. You see that in the diagram, the I1 is flowing towards the junction, I4 is flowing towards the junction. So they are taken as positive. Second sign convention, the current moving away from the junction are taken as negative. So you see in the diagram, I2 and I3, they are moving away from the junction. So they are taken as negative. So you see here, I1, the current flowing toward the junction, are taken as positive. Similarly, I4 is also moving toward the junction, taken as positive. So I1 plus I4. And I2 and I3, they are moving away from the junction. So that's why they are minus I2 and minus I3. And that algebraic sum is equal to 0. So I1 plus I2 plus within bracket minus I2 plus within bracket minus I3, that should be equal to 0. Or we can say that rearrange it, then I1 plus I4 equal to I2 plus I3. Means the sum of incoming currents, that is moving toward the junction, is equal to the sum of outgoing currents, that is they are moving away from the junction. So what we call that, we call as a Kirchhoff's first law or the Kirchhoff's current law or junction rule. Important point you have to note down here, the charges cannot be accumulated at junction. The number of charges that arrived at the junction in a given time must leave in the same time in accordance with the law of conservation of charges. So this is about Kirchhoff's current law or junction rule. Second one is Kirchhoff's voltage law or the loop rule. That you understand very well. because it is used in so many electrical circuits for solving the problems and some concept problems also. Algebraic sum of change in potential in any closed loop of electrical circuit must be 0. Means according to this law, algebraic sum of change in potential in any closed loop of electrical circuit must be 0. That is sigma delta V equal to 0. Or we can say that algebraic sum of EMF of cells in closed circuit must be equal to the algebraic sum of product of current and resistances in the closed circuit. So in a two way we can define this Kirchhoff's voltage law, and similarly for applying this Kirchhoff's law, that is voltage law, we have to understand the sign conventions. Here you understand sign conventions very well, otherwise your question becomes wrong. So first sign convention that we are saying that the EMF is taken positive when transfers from negative to positive terminal of the cell to the electrolyte. Means whenever you apply this KVL, then you have to use a loop, and that loop may be a clockwise, maybe a anti-clockwise. And you see the direction of that loop. If it is from positive terminal to the negative terminal of the cell, then the EMF is taken as positive. In other words, we can say that when we move from higher potential to negative potential, then it is taken as negative. And when we are moving from lower potential to higher potential, that is from negative to positive, then we say that it is a positive. So these two sign conventions further you understand. The first one is when the loop's direction is from negative terminal to positive terminal of the cell, then the EMF is taken as positive. That is from lower potential to higher potential when we move, then the EMF of the cell is positive. If direction of the loop is from positive terminal to negative terminal of the cell, that is from higher potential to lower potential, then the EMF of cell is taken as negative. So you just remember it. You just see that here, if suppose I draw here diagram like that, in first case, when the direction of the loop is from lower potential to higher potential, that is from negative terminal to positive terminal, then EMF is taken as positive. That is from lower potential to higher potential. Or if loop's direction is from higher potential to lower potential, that is from positive terminal to negative terminal, then in that condition the EMF of cell is taken as negative. This lower line is known as lower potential, that is minus, and this big line is positive terminal, that is higher potential. Similarly here it is positive and this is negative. So in that case EMF is positive, and here EMF is negative. So you just remember the sign conventions, because sign conventions are very important. And the third one is a product of current and resistance is positive if the loop direction is in the same direction of the direction of current. Here you just remember it, because here some mistakes generally the students did. When the direction of the loop and the direction of the current is the same, in that time the product of current and resistance is taken as positive. In some book it is written as negative. That I will also tell you, that is also correct. And similarly the fourth one is, when the direction of the loop is in the opposite direction to the current, then the product of current and resistance is taken as negative. So these four sign conventions are there, and I'm just telling you that when you will apply these sign conventions and what is the confusion or the misconcept is there. So these sign convention which are written here, that you have to apply when you are applying this formula, that is sigma E equal to sigma IR. In that condition, these four sign conventions that you have to use. But if you are using this formula, sigma delta V equal to 0, then in that condition first two are the same sign conventions, but third and fourth they are opposite. Means the product of IR, here it becomes negative and here it becomes positive. So that's why in some books these sign conventions which are written, they are also correct, but you have to understand which formula you are applying. So in that condition you have to apply the sign conventions. I am just taking this formula because here what we are saying, that as we are moving from negative to positive, then we are taking positive. When we are saying we are moving from positive to negative, then we are saying it is negative. Similarly, when we are saying the loop direction and current direction is the same, then we take product IR positive. And when we say that direction of the loop and the direction of the current is opposite, then we say that it is negative. But these are the applicable only when we are applying this formula, sigma E equal to sigma IR. But if you apply this formula, sigma delta V equal to 0, then first two sign conventions you apply the same, and third and fourth are in opposite way. In that condition you take here negative and here you take positive. So I am taking this formula throughout my lecture, and that's why these four sign conventions you have to apply here. So we take here one electrical circuit. You see here, this is one electrical circuit, and the currents, you can see that I1 and I2 currents are flowing. Then you see that here the loops direction. So here we are taking the two loops. First loop is A, B, C, A. So direction of the loop is from higher potential to lower potential, higher potential to lower potential. So that's why the EMF E1 is negative, minus E1. Now you see that the direction of the current from positive to negative terminal, and the loop's direction is from A, B, C, A. So that is the loop's direction is opposite to the direction of the current. So that's why the product of I1 and R1, that is negative, equal to minus I1 R1. Similarly, here in case of I2, the loop direction is opposite to the direction of current. So minus within bracket I1 plus I2, then R2. So I think it is clear to everybody. Now if you apply this formula, then automatically what happens? This E1 comes here. The same formula you are getting. So that's why you remember the sign conventions when you are applying. Similarly, you take another loop. Second loop is A, C, D, A. So here what happens? Your loop's direction is from lower potential to higher potential. So that's why E2 is positive. And the direction of the current and the direction of the loop is same. So that's why equal to I1 plus I2 R2, the product of the current and resistance is positive. Similarly here, I2 R3, I2, this is I2 and this is R3. So remember again, I'm just telling you, warning you, when you apply these four sign conventions, at that time you have to apply this formula. Sigma E equal to sigma IR. Okay. Now the direction of the loop can be taken as clockwise as well as anti-clockwise. Now we take one numerical so that you can understand the concept clearly. Here one numerical is given. Calculate the current through the 2 ohm resistance. Right? Then as I explained you the KVL, the same way you have to apply. Here KCL also applied here. You see that here I1 current is flowing and that reaches to the point C. Similarly from here I2 current is flowing reaching at point C. So both are moving towards the junction. So the total current is I1 plus I2 according to the KCL. So through the 2 ohm resistance the current is I1 plus I2. Now we apply KVL in loop A, B, C, F, A. A, B, C, F, A. Now you apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law, that is KVL. As I told you that here the direction of the loop is from lower potential to higher potential. So that's why EMF is positive. So here it is 35 equal to direction of the current and the direction of the loop is the same. So that's why product of the current and resistance is also positive. So 35 equal to 3 I1 plus 2 within bracket I1 plus I2. Remember it very carefully. Now solve it, open the bracket, then finally you will get 5 I1 plus 2 I2 equal to 35. Mark this equation 1. Similarly, you apply the loop, Kirchhoff's voltage law in the loop, F, C, D, E, F, like that. F, C, D, F, F, C, D, E, F. Then you see that the loop's direction is this. So loop direction is from higher potential to lower potential. So that's why EMF is minus 40. So minus 40. And the direction of the current and the loop direction is opposite. So that's why minus 40 equal to minus 2 within bracket I1 plus I2 and then minus 4 I2. Open the bracket, solve it. Minus 2 I1 minus 6 I2 equal to 40. Divide this by 2. Then you will get minus I1 minus 3 I2 equal to minus 20. Mark this equation number 2. Now you multiply this equation 2 by 5. So when you multiply it by 5, then what you will get? Minus 5 I1 minus 15 I2 equal to minus 100. Mark this equation number 3rd. Now you add this equation number 3rd with equation 1. Then what happens? 5I1 and minus 5I1 that get cancelled and you solve it. When you solve it, then you will get minus 13I2 equal to minus 65. Then I2 equal to 5 ampere. So I2 you are getting 5 ampere and now you substitute the value of I2 equal to 5 ampere in equation number 1 and then you solve it. So when you solve it, then further you get I1 equal to 5 ampere. So the total current through the 2 ohm resistance, that becomes I1 plus I2 equal to 5 plus 5 equal to 10 ampere. So this is the numerical problem related to the Kirchhoff's laws. Here both the laws we are applying, KCL and KVL. But you remember the sign conventions very carefully, then only you can solve the numericals. And don't get confused by the sign conventions which are mentioned in the books. They are mentioned either for sigma delta V equal to 0 or sigma E equal to sigma IR. Here in this lecture, I have applied sign conventions for the formula sigma E equal to sigma IR. Now, Wheatstone bridge. Wheatstone bridge basically it consists of the four resistances. You can see that P, Q, R, S, and they are arranged in the form of a bridge. This is called bridge, right? And its 2 points A and C are connected to a battery or the cell. Another 2 points B and D are connected to a very sensitive galvanometer of resistance capital G. Now, when we here also we use one key, and here also one key that we are using. So when we close this key and then we tap this key, and if this galvanometer shows no deflection, then we say that the bridge is balanced. In that condition, P upon Q equal to R upon S, because the potential difference between B and D that becomes 0. So that condition is known as balancing condition. So the Wheatstone bridge that gets balanced when the P upon Q is equal to R upon S. And this Wheatstone bridge is used to determine one resistance if we know the value of the three resistances. Now you see here how you can find out this balancing condition. Here also you have to apply the Kirchhoff's voltage law. You can see that here two circuits we take here, two loops we have to take here, A, B, D, A. Another we can take B, C, D, B. So you see that here, the first loop, that is A, B, D, A. So here you see that there is no cell or EMF. There is no cell, so there is no EMF. So apply the same formula sigma E equal to sigma IR. In place of sigma E, it is 0. And the loop's direction and the current direction is the same, then the product of current and resistance is taken as positive. That's why I1P is positive, I1G is positive, but I minus I1 within bracket into R is negative. So I1P plus I1G minus within bracket I minus I1 R equal to 0. Similarly, you have to apply Kirchhoff's KVL in loop B, C, D, B. Here again there is no cell. So if no cell, it means the EMF is 0. So in that condition, you can see that I1 minus Ig is in the same direction of the loop. So product is positive. But here in this arm DC, product is negative. In the arm DB, the product is negative. It is in opposite direction. So what you will get? I1 minus Ig into Q minus I minus within bracket I minus I1 plus Ig into S minus Igg equal to 0. Now once you understand why we are saying that I minus I1 current is flowing here, why we are saying that I minus I1 plus Ig current is flowing here, and here also I1 minus Ig, you understand like that. When the key this is closed, then the current starts flowing, and when the current I reaches at point A, then some current passes through this resistance P, say I1. Then the rest of current I minus I1 is here. Then I1 current when reaches to this point B, then I1G current, that one is passes through the galvanometer. So it means out of this I1, Ig current passes through the galvanometer, then the rest of current is I1 minus Ig that passes through the resistance Q. Similarly, this Ig current is coming from this arm at point D, and I minus I1 is coming from here. So both are moving toward the junction D. Apply the KCL, Kirchhoff's current law. So total current that passes through the resistance S, I minus I1 plus Ig. So that current. And when the current reaches here at this junction C, again you apply the KCL. So when the KCL here apply, then I1 minus Ig is coming through the arm BC. I minus I1 plus Ig is coming through the arm DC. So here when you add it, then further you will get only the current I. So it means your current distribution is correct. Now when the bridge is balanced, at that time Ig is 0, no current flows through the galvanometer, and that is because the potential difference between B and D that becomes 0, because the potential at B and D that becomes equal and opposite. Then only the bridge is said to be balanced. When Ig equal to 0, then you see that in this equation these factors become 0, this factor becomes 0, this factor becomes 0, this factor becomes 0. So you solve it, rearrange it, and then you find P upon Q is equal to R upon S. So what we say that initially, and that one is we proved. So this is the condition of balancing of Wheatstone bridge. And we can find out one of the unknown resistance from the Wheatstone bridge. And its practical application is meter bridge. So that you have to perform the experiment in your labs also. So whenever you go in a school, then you apply this Kirchhoff's law in this meter bridge, because the principle of the meter bridge that depend on to the Wheatstone bridge. So meter bridge or slide wire bridge, remember it, it is used for determining the unknown resistance, and it is a very sensitive device, and that depends on the principle of Wheatstone bridge. You can see here, this is the meter bridge. Here these are the copper strips which are shown here thick. Why they are thick? Because if they are thick, then area of cross section is more, and the formula of resistance you know, R equal to rho L upon A. It means R is inversely proportional to the area of cross section. If area of cross section is more, then the resistance is very less. So that's why these copper strips are taken as thick, so that the resistance is almost negligible. That is very small. Now there are two gaps here. You can see that here these two gaps, in which we have to connect in the first gap resistance box that we connect, that is the known values we can take from here, and here this S is the unknown resistance which is going to be determined. And there is a one scale is here, meter scale is here, and these A and C points, as you have seen in case of the Wheatstone bridge, the same points we have taken here, A and C points, which are connected to a cell along with a key K1, and here the 2 points B and D. Across to this a galvanometer is connected along with a jaw key. This is a jaw key, and between A and C there is a 1 meter wire, right? So here R and S you are able to see. Where is P and Q? This AD length, which is represented by L1. its resistance is P, and DC length, its resistance is Q. So that's why we say that it is depends on to the Wheatstone bridge principle. Now, after taking a suitable value of resistance from the resistance box, then with the help of this jockey, we find a point on this wire at which this galvanometer shows zero deflection. That is no deflection. Then we say that the bridge is balanced, or balanced conditions we get. So already we have calculated the condition of balancing of the Wheatstone bridge, that is P upon Q is equal to R upon S. So mark this equation number 1. Now, so when the balancing condition is achieving, we are saying that let at D point the galvanometer shows zero deflection. Then we note down the value of AD, that is L1. Then the DC, that becomes 100 minus L1. 1 meter means 100 centimeter. So 100 minus L1. So here you see that AD equal to L and DC equal to 100 minus L. In diagram we are writing L1, 100 minus L1 and L1, but here we have written L because there is no other length. So that's why no problem whether we are writing L1 or L. So AD equal to, finally what we are saying, L, and DC equal to 100 minus L. Now we say that let P be the resistance of the arm AD, then that becomes RL. Small r is the resistance per unit length. Similarly, Q is the resistance of the arm DC, so that becomes 100 minus L into R. So here small r is the resistance per unit length. Then you substitute these values in equation number 1. Then from equation number 1, in place of P you have to write RL, in place of Q you have to write R 100 minus L. Then what happens? Small r get cancelled. You will get L upon 100 minus L, which is equal to R upon S. Rearrange it. That is R upon S equal to L upon 100 minus L. Here S is the unknown resistance. So S equal to 100 minus L upon L into R. Now if we interchange these resistances, means we connect this S is here and R is here, then what happens? Then in that case the formula that becomes R upon S equal to, now 100 minus L, that comes in numerator and L comes in denominator. So R upon S equal to 100 minus L upon L. So in that condition, unknown resistance S is equal to L upon 100 minus L into R. So you remember this carefully, right? Now we take one numerical so that you can understand. In a meter bridge, the balance point is found to be 39.5 centimeter from one end A, and A is here. So balancing length we are finding at point 39.5 centimeters. So it means AD is equal to 39.5, and then DC equal to 100 minus 39.5. When the resistance S is of 12.5 ohm, means this resistance is 12.5 ohm, then you determine the value of resistance R. Then your aim is to find out this value of R, right? Just I told you that the formula, when we are interchanging the value of R and S, then in that condition the formula is R equal to L upon 100 minus L into S. So the first part you have to calculate by using this formula. You remember it very carefully, you remember it. If the value of R is given and S is asked, then in that condition the formula is S equal to 100 minus L upon L into R. but here the value of S is given and you have to find out R. So that's why the formula is R equal to L upon 100 minus L into S. Now the value of L is given 39.5 and S is 12.5, divided by 100 minus 39.5. After you solve it, calculation you do yourself, then you will find out 8.16 ohm. So that is the answer of the first part of this question. I think it is clear to everybody. Now second part, this question is very important. So many times in examination asked. Now second part is why are the connections between resistors in a meter bridge made of the thick copper strips? Just I told you, if you are taking a thick copper strips, then the resistance of copper strips that becomes very small, almost negligible. So thick copper strips offer minimum resistance. Therefore, the connections between the resistors in the meter bridge are made of thick copper strips to minimize the resistances of connections which are not accounted in Wheatstone bridge formula. Now the third part, as I told you that R is inversely proportional to the area of cross section. So area of cross section is large. So resistance is minimum, very small. Third part, what happens if galvanometer and the cells are interchanged at balance point of the bridge? Means if you are interchanging cell and galvanometer, means you have to connect here galvanometer and here you connect cell. Then what happens? Nothing happens. The condition of the balancing condition remains the same. So when the galvanometer and cell are interchanged at the balance point of the bridge, the condition of the balance bridge remains satisfied. Then the galvanometer will not show any current. You can redraw it and then you see that whether is there any effect takes place. I think no effect takes place. Means in that condition when we are interchanging galvanometer and the cell, then even then we are getting the balancing condition, then the galvanometer will not show any deflection. If you like my video, then like it, subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you and have a nice day. Very soon I am launching a blog, that is Dr. MS Physics, and you will find a lot of practice problems, study materials on this blog, and that is possible only if you subscribe my channel. Then you can see all study material, all practice papers, all test papers, practice sheets, numerical sheets, concept based problems. Thank you and have a nice day.